Hello everyone, welcome to my next lecture. In this video, I will try to cover about list, which is one of the most extensively used Python data structure. So what is a list? A list is a data structure in Python that is mutable. By mutable, by mutable I mean the elements of list can be changed. Ordered sequence of elements. Ordered sequence of elements means that it is an orderly arranged sequence of element. Each element or value that is inside of a list is called an item. Every element of the list is called as item. Just as strings are defined as a character between quotes, we have already seen that the strings are defined as a character between quotes. Similarly, lists are defined by having values between square brackets. Suppose I have a list of fruits and I want to define it. So let's create a list for that. So I've given the list name as fruits, and then I'm just giving a square bracket, and I'm giving the list of fruits, mangoes, one of my favorite. Other one is apple. It is also my favorite. And the next is banana, which is very easy. So, so that is how you're going to create a list in Python. See, it is very easy. Everything in Python is very easy. In the Jupyter notebook, even if we don't write a print statement, let's see what happens. Okay, I'm just printing the fruits variable. I will try not to write the print statement. I'm just writing a fruits. So this is one of the feature of a Jupyter notebook. It will not run in any other Python environment. So just for knowledge purpose, if you are using a Jupyter notebook, this is one of its feature. Okay. So and also a list got created where we can see that mangoes, apples, and bananas are there. So to get the first item in the list, we just need to write fruits 0. That is mango. Similarly, if we want to get the last item in the list, we'll just write -1. Similarly, if we want to access some list at some particular index position, we'll give that index number and it will give the value. The indexing starts at 0. That is why you need to look through a list. For iteration, we basically most of the time we use for loop. So here I'm also going to use for loop for each. This is one of the way of iteration for each element in the list. What is my list name? Fruits. For element in fruits, just write this is the syntax of Python. You need to provide a colon. Okay, print element. So mangoes, apples, and banana. This is one of the way where we are iterating over the list by the object. Also, we can use a range function which will get the length of the list. Okay, and then I will show you that, and then it will iterate over that. Length of the list equal to len function is there, and here we will provide the list as the parameter, so it will get the length, and in the range function I can just iterate it this way. For I in range function is there, which will give the value from 0 to the length of the list. This is the old and conventional way of using an array. So it starts the indexing from 0 up to the length of the list. So the length of the list is 3. So 0 to 1. So it will give the range of 3 values, 0 to 0, 1, 2, and it will access the index 0, 1, 2 as per the I value. So let's see whether my code runs successfully or not. Yeah, it got successfully executed. So now adding item to a list. Okay, let's see what more items we can add to this list. Grapes, fruits, dot append. Append is a function which we use to add item to a list. So okay. Now let's check the value. After adding value to the list, let's just check whether it's getting added or not. Since I've already said that we don't need to write print statement. So yeah, it is getting added. So suppose if we want to make a numerical list like arithmetic progression of the square values from 1 to n. So here we can use this list. So what is this square? Suppose I'm declaring a list named as square. No need to write such a big name. Okay. And then I've just defined an empty list over here. I can define an empty list. There is no problem in that. So after that, I can assign a value to it. And for assigning a value, I'm just using a for loop over here. As I've already told you about the range function. So here I'm going to use that range function from x in range. Suppose I want to store the value of 1 to 10. Okay, 1 to 10. So I have to take the 11 also I'm taking. And I'm just storing it squares dot into the square list. I'm just writing. So it will give value from 1 to 10. Okay, and I just need to give this to star to square the value. Okay, and let's just check out what happens. And after that, I just need to print the. So let's keep the better practice of using the print statement every time. Okay. So it is printing the square values from 1 to 10. Okay. Now coming to one of the most important topic of list is a list comprehension. The above program, which we solved using for loop for the square values of 1 to 10, the similar program can be solved just by using one line of code. And for that, we are going to use a list comprehension. List comprehension usually consists of these parts. That is an output expression which will contain the output value, okay, an input sequence, a variable representing a member of the input sequence, and optional predictable part. Now let's look into what are these parts, okay. So what we want to do over here, we want to square the values. So in the list, we will just write the output expression at first, and then we will write the for loop, okay, which will contain the range, which is an input sequence. The range is the input sequence. The value from 1 to 10 is an input sequence, and x is a variable. So a variable representing a member of the input sequence. And the next thing is the optional predictable part. Even if we remove that, if x mod 2 equal to 1, this is to just for checking that if it is an even or not. If it is an even, then only it will go to the directly. Now let's look into the similar program what we have done above, and just check the values in the whether we are able to square or not. I'll just copy this code and I will try to print it. The same code which I have done using for loop to print the square values. Let's see what is the output for this. See, a similar output came. So I can just check the cubic values as well. So you can see that how many lines of codes got reduced by using the list comp.